I'm Sean, and the name of the show is Laughing Monkey Music. So let me welcome you on.
Laughing Monkey Music. Well, great to be here. Thank you, Sean.
Starting off, what was your launch to rock?
Wow, that's way back. Well, I would probably have to say, you know, like many others of my generation and of my age, because we were pretty much loyal fans to our music. I would have said it was Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
And just obscure stuff like Uriah Heep, you know, just bands like Yes, and
those are all bands I like. Those are all bands I like. I literally have all that in vinyl.
Well, the thing is that my brother was the one that was tossing all this music at me, and I was really young, and I was, you know, open to music, and he just played it on vinyl, because that's all we had, you know, at that point at the house. So we just had to spin records, and to get records at that time, they weren't cheap, and it was, not everyone had a Black Sabbath album. But anyway, yeah, that's what it was. That's where it all started. I think that the guitar kind of just the Tommy Iommi guitar tone embedded into my head, and I never looked back, and I always looked for more of that, and basically opened me up to the recipe of, you know, hard rock, heavy metal, and just, you know, went on from that. And all of a sudden Led Zeppelin kind of went like, who's that now? You know?
Yeah.
Went to another realm, and it was really cool experience as a kid.
How fast did you start before you got in a band and started singing? So you started singing in high school, I'm assuming, maybe bands?
No, not at all. I wasn't a singer. I was a drummer. I actually started as a drummer. And so for me, it was not enough. I found it to be more to where there was guys that were going to be so much better at what I need for me, that a producer told me that I had a great voice and that I should try it and have everything it takes to do it. You just got to do it, you know? And that's how it started. And that started, you know, in the early years, you know, as a 18-year-old kid. So, but drums were my deal. I fucking rocked those drums for a while, and I'm staring at keyboards, mixing console guitars. I have everything in my house right here so that I need. So I do my own tracking on things, you know, for writing purposes. So I still do it for that sense, but I don't go out and do like live shows and play drums anymore now. No, I'm a big fan of drummers, so I have a lot of guys that I can play with and enjoy playing with.
Well, the fact you can put a decent beat down when you write your own song is probably very helpful. You know?
Yeah, it does help me, and it's just so much less explanation to fucking drummers.
Yeah, I can see that. Actually, do you think you write differently too because of that? Because like I know some drummers that are also singers, they are musicians. They always they kind of write like with a rhythm to it, you know.
Well, the thing is that if you're used to working with the same drummer all the time and you have a formula with them,
yeah,
and you don't want to change too much of it. In my case, like my drummer that I've had for a long time,
yeah,
and much easier for me to write the song myself on the drums for him than have him put him through a fucking rehearsal where I'm going to sit there and pull my hair out, explain him what I want.
Yep.
Do you understand me?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm writing the songs, and I need a certain thing, and I don't want to put anyone through all that. So what I do is I sit at my house and I track it myself. Very simple, even if it's a little off or anything like that, just to get my idea in there, and then I'll go in there and tweak it and have it down. I play it for them, and they play it live, and it sounds fucking awesome. So
probably saves friendships too.
Well, you know, I learned when you play with guys at our age and stuff,
yep,
and you know how the gears work, you kind of grease things differently, and you know, you don't play with the same guys for 20 plus years because you know, you hate each other. You know, it brings you together, you know, because you enjoy it. If not, you most people won't play in a band with you. You know how it is. It's so dysfunctional.
Unless you're making the Rolling Stones money, then you can have a golf cart between
Right.
Your changing rooms.
Right, but even the Rolling Stones, are such a oiled machine that in order for you to get the Rolling Stones in one room at the same time, it has to be for an interview, for a special date, dinner, event, or a gig.
I actually think they're getting along better now too, though. I mean, wasn't it the last like 2 tours ago? That was the joke. They were just like all stadiums, but they were like everybody was like in different dressing rooms, and nobody was talking.
Well, I worked for them back at Voodoo Lounge CD-ROM. I was actually the project director for the Rolling Stones Voodoo Lounge CD-ROM. I went on the tour with them. I did their green screens, their jumbotron, their microphones on the guitars. That was all me. My credits are multimedia producer magazine cover, all that great shit back then. Nobody really knows much about it, but I got to see a different side to them. Yeah, everyone's in a different dressing room. Yeah, you want them in a fucking different dressing room.
Yeah.
You don't want them in the same fucking
room.
No. And it's great because their backstage area is basically like a arcade. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're like kids. They're like little kids. They're like 16-year-olds doing gigs. That's the way I look at it.
You gotta just entertain them to keep them.
What a blast! Who wouldn't want that fucking gig? You know what I mean?
I mean, I couldn't imagine how awesome that would have been.
Yeah, so they're beyond. It's more like I need to spend money because I'm making money now. Before, through steel wheels, not to change the subject, they were losing a lot of money. They were comping people everywhere. And after Voodoo Lounge, which I worked on, was the one that I saw when they became the largest grossing band in the history of rock at that point, 94, 95. But anyway, great time in LA. Well, I'm not born in LA, but I've been in LA since 1972. So my whole lifestyle has been downtown LA, Hollywood area, Pasadena High School. That's where I went. Well, I went to Van Halen's house every day to go listen to them rehearse from the alley. So, I mean, I was not just some guy that showed up and claimed that I live here and I learned how to play something and I pretended that I know something. I actually got to be around my heroes like Van Halen. There was bands like Angel. There was Smile, a la carte. There was Snow. There was Quiet Riot. There was no Motley Crue. There was London. There was all kinds of shit. You know what I mean? So it's really funny how the credibility value doesn't really get credited for when in reality the real Sunset Strip players was really London at the time. For me, as a young guy, I came in after Lizzie had done 3 attempts with 3 different singers, with name singers.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And they couldn't even get a hand job from anyone. I mean, they didn't even have a record. They didn't have nothing. I think they did 1 song for a demo that's on the internet. And I think he might have done LA Jets as a demo with Nigel Benjamin at one point, I believe, but I could be wrong. But other than that, I came in as another attempt, and it was Lizzie, that kept, wanting to keep going on, keep London, going, even after Nikki left them, after Blackie left, after Slash was not stayed, Izzy didn't stay, Steven was too out of his fucking mind. So, it was just, we had these guys, except for Slash, all the other guys, we partied a lot. You know what I mean? We partied a lot. So that made it really bad when you're nodding out, or you're just doing other things that you shouldn't be doing.
Wasn't that the quote that's followed you around forever from the Western Civilization one? Was the word training school for rock stars?
Look at it this way: no matter what, that movie was inducted into the Academy of Film as a classic. Anyone is, Roger Corman wasn't making fucking dinosaur movies, but he discovered Jack Nicholson. He discovered William Shatner, and I got to do a cheesy, B movie for his movie company. And how many people can say you're on a Roger Corman film? Not many.
Well, right. No. Yeah, I felt like it put a lot of people in a bad light. I mean, it could have been a little kinder.
Well, that was the idea. I think that Penelope took it as I think they had a shtick to it. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
Ozzy Osbourne wasn't spilling the fucking juice, but it looked good on fucking film. I mean,
But Ozzy could get away with it. Ozzy just had a thing. He was established. A lot of you guys was coming out of there.
Well, you can see how everyone was dressing. You saw how everyone was talking. I mean, you had girls with their little kid there. You know,
I know. I'm saying they could have.
You had people fucking mooning at the beginning of the movie. You already know what's happening. There's a bunch of guys mooning the camera.
I look back. People love that stuff. It's a car.
Let me tell you something. You know how Chris Holmes tells me, you know, a while back he was like, "Oh, I fucking hate that fucking movie."
Yep.
He goes, "They fucking hate that movie." Blah, blah, blah. And I said, you know, we all signed the contract, brother. I said, you know, we signed it and we went with it. Nobody threw you in the fucking pool. You know, nobody could throw you in the fucking pool. I said to him. We were at a dinner actually in Pasadena. And well, I said, no, dude, it's true. I said, you know, like my bass player, Brian West, who's in that movie, he's the guy that goes, I don't have a job. And he goes, our dicks get hard for gold cars. Think about that. Think about that. Now he is a big old Christian band leader in his church and somewhere in California. Fucking cringiest when I send him a screenshot. You know what I mean?
Did you see Chris actually? They did a reshot of that nowadays. There's like a modern version of him in the pool.
No, man. Was he having a fucking a Red Bull? He's Europe, and he's in
I don't know. There's something
now.
in water, and he's talking in there, but it's literally playing against that scene. It's actually kind of taking the joke and kind of throwing it back.
It was how it was.
Didn't make you look at that
leather.
Yeah, but you were.
I mean, how many guys swim in a pool with leather and a bottle of vodka with their mom next to them? Not many motherfuckers do.
No, I don't know who would want to.
Right, but I'm just saying, it was a time.
Yeah.
It was a place. It was a moment, and it's gone. You know what? I never really sat down and thought about it until I went and sat at the LACMA, the Museum of Los Angeles, down there for this thing. You know, when I had to do Q&A with Penelope, with Ricky from Poison, myself, and William from KNAC, and Ricky Rackman also. And they were inducting the movie into this thing. And I saw the movie, and everyone that was there was not from our era, meaning the only people that were there were people that were in the movie, and everyone in the audience was all new. and I sat down, and it was packed. It was packed on 35 millimeter, just as the reel would play it back then. It was incredible to watch. And I thought after it, because I had to go up and speak, and I thought about it, and I go, I'm so fucking glad my kids were not here. And my costumes used to cost me quite a bit of money. I spent a lot of time and money on stages with my guys. We took our shit seriously. We pull up in a truck, and I think back and go, how do we pay for all this shit? I'm trying to remember how we got gas. And it was a market. Remember, they were signing bands like fucking, you know, like hamburgers. They were picking up bands. They had to pick up like 20, 30 bands a fucking month.
That's crazy.
There was 2,000 working bands a night. 2,000 working bands a night in LA County. Yeah, in LA County. You know what I mean? LA is a big mecca for music back then. Everything was based around music back then, and dancing and partying, going out and clothes and color. And it's not like now. Everything's all fucking like dud.
How fast did it start to change?
It changed right after Alice in Chains showed up.
Okay. After that was it. It
was an atomic blast of boots, shorts, and lumberjack cut-off shirts, and then all the coolness of the color and the over-the-top stuff.
Yep.
Fizzled out. You know, like the song says, I'm the man in the box. That's exactly where it went. Into a box. And you know, I'm glad it ended, because it really killed a whole lot of stuff that was going on, and hip hop was really doing well, but I don't think hip hop was taken away from rock. No, because even hip hop was getting wrapped up with, you know, like Aerosmith, and even London had a song, Rainbow Bar and Girls, which was stolen by our manager and sold to Atlantic Records in New York, by the way, and you know, trying to do rock rap but in a different format. Now, but I think that the way the labels did it was that they made that trip be the click and killed an industry that actually that makes them a lot of money if you really look at it. their catalogs are all based around rock music.
Yeah.
You listen to radio and it's all rock. I had somebody tell me, "Oh, you like that kind of snare? That's kind of outdated." And I go, "It's still selling fucking millions of records to this day, that fucking snare." You know what I mean? So
I do think, back to the original thing, is that even London being a nightmare, as you say, with the right press or the right manager, it still could have gotten a couple albums out and got some.
Well, listen, I had managers. I had Kenny Austin. Listen to this. Kenny Austin, Mo Austin's son. You know who that is? The CEO of Warner Brothers Records back then. He had Bob Dylan at his house, George Harrison, and when I walk in, all that. I mean, his daddy was the man. I had him as a manager. Then we had Steve Gold and Jerry Goldstein. They had Lee Ritenour, Hart, War, Tanya Tucker, and London. So we had our moments of coolness and greatness and all that. But I think that what was happening is that, as you see how many guys came out of the band just between the period of Lizzie starting the band, Nikki leaving the band, and then me coming in, and then me continuing with the band, how many changes were going on at the time.
Yeah.
And there was the niche was when I joined the band, and Nonstop Rock, Don't Cry Wolf, and then Playa del Rock cracked it with Richie Podler producing it, and it just opened the door for us. And then by then it was too fucking late because it was 1990. So guess what?
Yep.
Seattle's in the house.
Yeah.
So that's what happened, man. But I'm still doing it. I have a great time doing it. I have no bad taste in my mouth. I have a reputation of being outspoken and, telling it like it is. And for me, it's been a great ride the whole time, and I'll continue to do it as much. So, I'm not getting any younger, but I'm definitely getting better at what I'm doing. And what happened was we had a very destructive ending. And in 93, I ended up getting a job, and I started working for a company named Second Vision New Media, and they had hired us to produce the Rolling Stones Voodoo Lounge CD-ROM, the first one of its kind. And dude, I'm not going to skip that.
Well, yeah.
I took the job and I became project director of the whole project. And, before I know it, I'm hanging out with Mick and doing green screens and doing all this shit. And things that I never thought I was going to get to do in my life, I was doing them. So for me, working for the Stones, I think was the most crown jewel of my accomplishments. And especially being on the cover of Multimedia Producer magazine. So, I only stopped doing my music because I was working on that, but then I made money. And then I did a Latin album and I shelved it.
How'd that happen? Like, what made you?
Well, I'm Mexican. That's how it happens. I've never done it before. I never sang in Spanish before, which was very challenging for me because, phrasing and the accent, and you can't just fucking sing a song because people are going to call you out on it in Spanish. They're not like American songs. You can slur something and like, what?
No, I mean, you see, Lynn Russell was talking about that too when she did the same thing.
Yes.
How hard it is. I mean, it really says a lot about your singing because it's a different animal.
What's great for me, it's easy for me to do it, but the great thing about it was that I had Bernard Fowler, who sings backup for the Rolling Stones, come in Mexico City. And we recorded some tracks there while the Rolling Stones were there for Bridges to Babylon.
Mm-hmm.
And I did a Ronnie Wood tune that was co-written by Bernard. And so we did vocals together, duet in Mexico City in Spanish. So I got him to sing in Spanish, an all-nighter with Matt Sorum there. Chuck Wright was there. We're all in Mexico City recording my album. So I'm ready to put that out this year, coming up in 2021.
But I'm thinking, how did that happen though? Because like, what made you go like all of a sudden? How'd you get a deal to do it that?
I got an investment from a film company. They liked my music, personality, the whole thing, and there was a market at the time. The only problem for me that happened that I was competing against Ricky Martin on the song Maria. So all the labels were just like looking for that type of sound and all that. And I came more from the rock sound, but an American rock sound. So it's really good music. It's well produced. I spent
That's
a
really
lot of
cool.
time.
That's actually really, really cool. It's just, it feels like, you know what I'm saying? Just like hearing and knowing this, feels like a real left turn all of a sudden be like, you know, it wasn't like,
Oh,
I was
I'm
doing this on
ready.
the side.
Yeah, they're pushing me to put it out. My girl is. She's telling me that you got to get this out, or you're never gonna fucking do it. But now I started writing these other new ones, so I'm trying to see if I can add a couple more tracks from these recordings that I have, and add these right now because I'm working on two things. I'm working on my solo album,
Yeah.
and then I'm working on some new Piest music, not London, Piest. So it's gonna have a little bit of a different feel to it, but it rocks. It's just bigger sound. So I'm excited about that. That's been my whole deal. I'm taking advantage of all this COVID lockout, so I'm sitting here working on that.
I don't know if you notice, like if you look on the streaming services to like track down bands and stuff nowadays, like the write-ups of the bands and the albums are out of order, or it's missing albums, or it's the wrong write-up for the wrong band, the same name. Or
I've
the
had
album.
my name London used in different bands and posted tickets and sales for shows that I'm not even in.
So you see what I'm saying then?
Yeah,
so.
it's really like change, almost like hang on to all your old stuff at home, anything than video, cassette, tapes, or anything. Hang on to it because you're not going to be able to find a lot of this stuff, and a lot of people are claiming ownership and stuff. I keep finding people trying to post stuff of mine out of Russia, and
how can you even fight that? How do you can fight that?
I do. I fucking went after this Russian thing. I don't know. He was trying to sell my shirts. An Italian guy had a shop in Italy, and I contacted him directly. And I said, I will come down to fucking Italy and collect my money for the shirts. I fucking would, just to make a point. And, because you can't be bootlegging my shit. And a lot of people took advantage of that for many years. And now that I was able to, take control of of all the assets and stuff like that, I went after people in Vegas and Brazil, in England, in Italy, in Russia. You buy my fucking song for 13 cents. Really? You know what I mean? Don't rely on streaming only or on downloads. People are buying physical hand CDs. They're even buying cassettes. They're buying vinyl. I have vinyl and digipack, and it costs more to ship these items than what it costs for them to pay for the items. And I ship to Korea, I ship to Europe, I ship to South America, I ship to Israel, I ship in so many different places, in France, in specific towns in Germany, and people are paying for this. They want it in their hands. They want to smell it. They want to touch it. It's not over. It's over for the cars. Yeah, the cars are not going to have CDs.
Yeah.
But there's a market out there. People buying fucking cassettes. Now, cassettes, I'll be like, I have a lot of them too, brand new ones. And I'm like, but CDs I can understand, because you can get a really high quality audio out of it. And it's still physical in your hand, and you can collect it and look at it, read the title. It's not the same. Europe is what broke London. Besides the metal years, Europe was the one that broke London, because I would send cassettes out to friends and stuff, and they would send them to Europe, and then they would talk about it. And then, that's how everyone got to know about you. And I would get actual physical letters from Japan, and handwritten and stamped and licked on and all that, with photos and toys. I mean, it was incredible, all that. But, it's a whole other deal now,
Yeah, but when I talk to artists, I usually hear that a lot, and I hear that it really is, that's what kind of keeps it alive. And I hear a lot about, I heard Germany has like really been a hot spot.
We were with Noise Records. We were signed to Noise Records out of Berlin. So London was on that for Playa del Rock. I got to go to Germany and do a promotional tour for Ride You Through the Night, and was in Checkpoint Charlie, crossing with the first Harley Davidson into East Berlin. So Germany was actually our breaking point for London. If not, don't think anybody here in the United States was being very cool about signing London. We got signed out of Germany. Karl Walterbach.
That's crazy. See, that totally just drives my point home. How good Germany's been for music.
Yeah, that's where all it started for us.
They're making it for
The
all the
first
other
album
stuff.
for London was, but Shrapnel, but that was a Mike Varney.
Yeah.
But that was our first album. But the one that really broke the deal for us to be able to get noticed is it was Noise Records out of Berlin, which was the president was Karl Walterbach and Bruce Kirkland, who later became the vice president of Capitol Records. Figure that, right? See how that works?
Yeah. I don't think it works like that anymore nowadays. I think people are holding on.
No, those jobs are gone.
That's what I'm saying. That's the thing. I don't think it works anymore. I think people are job hunting.
You actually have to go to
retired.
work.
Yeah, or retired. I think.
Yeah,
that model's
it's
a
a
little
really
bit better. For
industry,
musicians, it's better. I know. Yeah, I don't think just digital, but I'm saying I think artists taking ownership, like you taking ownership of all your stuff. I hear a lot of artists saying, "Yeah, I make more money now.
You have to.
Taking care of my own stuff
You
on
would
a
be
smaller
pissed
level."
off if you saw your stuff on someone's page claiming that they did that or they put it out. I mean, I have to. Labels do that to people. Regular labels screw people like that. And I don't want to mention any names, but so artists, nobody cares about you.
Nope.
Nobody gives a shit about you. Nobody.
There's more artists. Yeah, well, there are other artists things out there. Other artists are trying to come up with other ways to help artists. You know what I mean? Like
the only way to do it is by not relying on apps so much, and actually having a place where you can do shows, a place that it's actually an auditorium, a concert place for different people, not just bars. Not, aren't we not like sophisticated enough to have, back in the day, remember in parks they had stages. You ever see that in parks? They had stages, and you can have a party, and you can set up a PA system, and you can do, your own gig and all that. They don't have that anymore. You can't.
That was gone before even COVID. I mean, it was just. I think COVID just put the final nail in the coffin for.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but think about it. If it was that bad already, which I know was gone a long time ago, that's what I was using as an example. That doesn't happen no more. You could go to a church and they rent you the hall, and I could do a gig. I used to do that in high school. I used to throw keg parties and and backyard parties and make money on that, and everyone was cool. Now you can't do that. You'll go to jail for that. You got to have a permit. You got to have a fire marshal. It's got to be a cop. You got a minimum of 3 hours. You got to get alcohol license. That. So it's not. I hate to say this, but I think that Europe is going to be a while for any band to go down there. The way that things are going right now. The safety and the security of people are really iffy right now, especially when you have an American passport.
Yeah.
So,
but I'm saying, I just think I don't think there's gonna be that's my point. Is I think on so many levels internationally between America and European bands coming back and forth, it's not financially even viable for.
It's super expensive. Super expensive. I couldn't even. Be. We went. I know a lot of bands go back and forth. I don't know how they do it, but to Paunchy Cats, and then we went over to we went to Switzerland. I mean, the whole time was a blast, that's for sure. But it was only 2 nights, and that was it. So we paid all this money just for 2 nights, just to say we went and did it. So we don't like to cancel shows. So we love it. We love Europe, but unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen for a long ass time.
Is it as hard financially to get into Europe as the artists are saying to get into America?
Well, for me, it didn't. The only cost that we got was the cost of our hotels and travel costs. But
so the band,
we just took our passports and travel. We didn't get no visas or anything like that, not at all.
Well, maybe because you weren't a full tour. I don't think it's probably as hard for Americans. Well, prior to this,
no, it wasn't at all. We traveled. I rented a car. We went to the airport, got the car. We got our shit in. We went in. We drove ourselves on the Autobahn. We went into Germany. And it was just like doing a show here,
You just show up with your passport and kind of do that. And, walk on. It's got to be a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, and you know what? When we went to Switzerland, I mean, we went through the crossing of the where you go into the other country, but they didn't really stop us. You know what I mean? They kind of looked at us and go.
That's crazy.
You know.
I think there should be some kind of like international, I guess, thing.
Now,
That's
as costs
yeah.
coming into the United States from other bands, they will get to pay a lot of money because they're not American.
But the fact that they're actually coming in and then they're actually paying American tax when they're selling stuff in touring, like
They got to come in with a visa. They got to come in legally, you know. So it's different,
right? But I'm saying
Yeah,
it should be the other way around, because you know how great it would be to just,
yeah.
you know, it's not going to happen.
It's not good. No, it's not good right now. It's the world is ugly right now.
It is. What That's why at least we have Zoom and phone so we can talk at least. Otherwise, it'd be a nightmare. So what projects are you doing right now? Let's talk about what you got.
Well, right now I'm actually sitting here at my home studio, and I am working on music. And to be honest with you, I haven't talked to a lot to my guys except for like holidays here and there. And so it gives me the time to sit here, like I told you, and work on new material and put it together. We run our merchandising, so we have other things that we are adding and other records that we want to add, and so I have things that I'm working on, you know. But right now, the way this COVID thing is, we need to get out of this 2020 thing and go into 2021 and start investing into things. But you know, there's not much you can really do other than just sit at home and write, unless you know.
Some people are doing streaming concerts. Yeah, some people are doing streaming shows, and some people are writing their book. I write books.
You know, it's really hard. You know, like it's like playing football. No, I see now what the NFL guys were talking about, playing football with no people now, and it's a different generation. But I tell you what, the music's not going anywhere. As much as the industry is burying it under award shows and all these things that they do to stroke each other, music is classic, and this type of music will never go away because it's directly wrapped up to everyone that grew in the United States or globally that like rock and roll and watch American movies and got to hear songs from back in the day, and they're still selling. They still sell those songs. As corny as they may be, they're still making love it. My kids, my little daughter, man, I played her Man on the Silver Mountain so many times when she was like 9 months old. And by the time she was 4, she was always asking me to play her that while she was on her car seat. The Silver Mountain.
That's pretty funny.
Think about that, huh?
He had, man,
love it.
Ronnie had it. Ronnie had the best voice. I saw Ronnie.
Oh, Ronnie was badass.
I got to catch him at least once live.
I saw him singing the Last in Line at Sound City. We did our first album there. I got to see him right in front of me at the studio do those tracks, by the way.
That's pretty awesome.
He was amazing. He was able to smoke a joint and walk in and belt that shit out. And I thought, oh my God, if I took a hit of that joint, I would black out. I was a kid, you know what I mean?
His pipes, his pipes were just always.
He was just a little dude with this amazing, but remember, he was a trumpet player. So he had these great pipes of lungs, you know?
So, I thank you for your time, man. And I will let you know.
Well, thank you. And, keep me posted. I'll be looking forward to it. And I appreciate you reaching out to me and giving me a little bit of time to kind of shoot the for a little bit. And thank you for having me.
All right, man. I will.